of the TASIF Committee, Tax Abatement Study and Formulating Committee. We have a couple folks absent because it's summer and there are lots of other things going on, and hopefully we'll have a few more joining us, but if not, we will. I think I see Councilmember Tunes coming. We'll do some brainstorming and voluntold a few people and make sure that we can still be productive. So thank y'all for being here, and thanks to the support folks for being here. He's here. Maybe if we can close the door. So, on our agenda, again, I just think it's always kind of grounding to go back over what our goal is. Assuming I can find that. So I want to read that real quick. Which is, we have been formed we shall endeavor to study how the Metropolitan government has utilized and potentially could utilize tax incentives to incentivize use of property in a way that contributes to the public good and formulate recommendations for the implementation in a more transparent, equitable, effective, understandable, and fiscally responsible manner. Our study will assess how tax incentives are awarded, how they should be expanded given the challenges of Nashville's growth, to the preservation or construction of affordable housing, small business locations, and community necessities like grocery stores and child care facilities, and whether there should be a cap on overall tax incentive allocations or individual categories of tax incentive allocations, and if so, to recommend a method for setting the cap. And also to acknowledge and incorporate, where appropriate, the information and recommendations provided by the Tax Increment Financing Study and Formulating Committee report issued May 17, 2019, which is on our website, and I hope all of y'all have been able to find that. If not, I'll send you a hard copy because it's a great model for what we're trying to do. We're just expanding on that. So that being said, just to kind of review where we've been, we've spent some good informative sessions getting educated on TIF, tax increment financing, which is a tool used initially mostly by MDHA in the redevelopment districts, and then also on the pilots, payment in lieu of taxes, which is a somewhat newer tool but that has been used extensively by MDHA for the low-income housing tax credit properties that are providing affordable housing, and now also by the Health and Education Board on the mixed income pilot. We're still working on the legal documents for that, but we are hopeful that that's something that we'll actually begin to see some funding on coming up soon. And then we talked about a couple of other tools that are out there. The Transit-Oriented Development District we talked about at our last meeting with Councilmember Syracuse, because he came close to having one of those in his district around the Music City Star station, but we realized at the time that we still needed to do some thinking about how widely that would be afforded. Welcome. Where's Henry?
He's at home.
All right.
I thought about bringing him.
Welcome, Henry. Good to see you. Glad you're here. I'm just setting context and reviewing where we've been. So those are the tools that exist and that we have either used or close to using so far. We're not necessarily creating new tools unless somebody's seen something in another city that we want to talk about. But we do want to, I think, try to put some framework around the tools that we've been using, and I have asked Rosie to make everybody a copy of our budget ordinance, because once you spend some time with it, you discover it does a good job of laying out all the different items in our, this year it's a $3.36 billion budget. And so in the grand scheme of things, if we are abating something on the order of $90 million, is that such a small amount that we feel good about it, or is that beginning to encroach so much that we feel like we need to make recommendations to to begin to be more thoughtful and circumspect about where the caps are. And again, to review, and Margaret, you probably will have to correct me on this. At this point, there are no official caps on the tax increment financing. We just haven't done many in the past couple of years. The pilots for low-income housing tax credit, LIHTCs, are currently capped at 2.5.
I believe so, annually.
And so each year we could add another 2.5
Yes.
onto that.
The first thing you said about TIF, did you say TIF had no cap?
Well, I guess each one individually has a
Yes,
cap.
each plan, but I think you probably meant economic incentive pilots don't have a cap currently.
Right. So it will be important to correct my terminology repeatedly, so thank you for keeping a close eye on that currently. That the pilots for LIHTC are currently capped at $2.5 million annually. For the first time this year, we have begun to get enough low-income housing tax credits awarded to Davidson County that we are coming close to bumping up against that, and it may actually be an honest-to-goodness limit this year. So I think that's the value of this committee right here. I think is to say this is an important enough thing that we recommend. I don't know that it's necessarily our purview to set what that is, but perhaps to at least be thoughtful about what things should be taken into consideration as the council or whatever decides whether we bump that to 3 or 3.5 or whatever. But anyway, that is coming up soon. So our work is real and beginning to be urgent, which is kind of exciting. So that being said, and then the other tool that's out there is the pilot for mixed income housing, which again hasn't been used. It currently has a $2 million.
I believe it's $3 million.
Yeah. Okay, $3 million. I should have this on it. I will get this on a table.
I have one in my district.
And you have one in your district. That is, we're in the process of getting all the paperwork happening. But that is an exciting one because it can happen in areas all over town, including downtown, which often we see the low-income housing tax credit ones concentrating in certain parts of town. So it's another way to increase the geographic spread of where these tools are used. So to date, we have not come near the cap of that one, partly just because we're still getting all the legal documents in order. But that's
They reached the cap last year.
We have awarded all of those, but the money hasn't actually flowed yet.
Okay.
Because we're still getting the paperwork in order. But
Okay.
the first round hit the FY23, FY22 cap, and we have the FY23 money available, but we're waiting to get the paperwork done.
Does FY23 end at the end of this month? I'm thinking about that right? Yeah.
Yes. And so I could ask our finance director, is that money in we didn't spend it this year, so it's now in the unencumbered fund balance, or if it's allocated?
I don't know that we've
carryover.
marked it. I can check and we can
check?
when we do the substitute, we can earmark that.
Okay, it would be nice to.
It is.
Good.
But
It'd be good to be sure on that one. So,
Because in a sense, they've been awarded, but not
expended. Correct.
And they probably wouldn't see any budget impact until a few years from now when the development is completed, right?
So
wouldn't.
those tend to just hang out there.
Yeah.
So 23 has all been awarded, or that was 22?
All right, Margaret, help me make sure, because I am almost sure that Angie and I had a conversation about this, and there was money allocated in last year's budget as well as in this year's budget, and all we've awarded is last year's budget.
I would have to check on that. I don't have that answer.
Okay. Because I know we awarded it all, and there was more there already.
Okay.
And we haven't come to the process. This year's budget also, and you can now we can pull out this year's budget, and those things will not show up though because they are not.
Or on the revenue side rather than the expenditure side.
That's correct. And so that's why we don't have to worry about them anyway. there are some items that show up as economic incentives, and so when interestingly, people often stand up in public hearings and shake their finger at us for all the corporate giveaways that we do. And they will say, and there's all this money going to whatever's. And when you actually look at where's that money going, there's only one place where any of it shows up.
Page 17.
Page 17 is correct. Yeah, so if you look on page 17, thank you very much. Under regulation, inspection, economic development at the bottom half, that economic development is not what we're talking about. That's not tax abatement. This is actual job grants that we give. Yeah, there should be some extra. Here's an extra copy too if y'all want to share. So those are job grants that we give per, when the jobs actually happen. We've learned a lot about how to do those now. We don't pay until the jobs actually happen. And
You do see the tax increments for IDB and MDHA on the next page.
okay.
So there's something going on there. I don't know what the right is. It what is?
We will ask you to turn to page 18.
Yes.
If we explain this enough times, the chair will get it, and the rest of you will have gotten it before then. So on that, we see under items 11.0, 1995 and 1998, tax increment payment, IDB, and MDHA. Can you explain why those are showing up as expenditures?
The tax increment payment for IDB, so the way a tax increment works, recall, is that the property owner pays all the taxes, the money comes to us, whatever our agreement was for, or whatever that increment is over the base amount that was designated in the original agreement or document, that increment goes back to the IDB to pay for whatever the infrastructure is, or with MDHA it's something different, but for IDB it's the infrastructure that went into the
So they are the ones paying off
whatever is happening in Madison or out in Bellevue. So that money has to be appropriated by us back to IDB for the purposes that the plan was set up. MDHA is set up similarly. The taxes get paid. MDHA then tells finance each year what that amount is that they should be owed based on all of the plans that exist.
So it's basically, am I understanding that right? Is it if the revenue comes in for those properties comes in higher than projected, then that money gets directed back to?
So let's talk about the IDB type style TIF. And this would apply pretty much to all of them. You have a base amount of taxes that Metro is going to continue to receive. The amount above that, the increment amount, that's the amount that goes back to the project. There's also, and this is in newer TIFs, a dedicated amount. That's the amount that is used for debt services. Those would also be kept by Metro to pay for debt service obligations. But any amount above that, so by virtue of, sometimes by reappraisals, sometimes just by, I guess it would just be reappraisals or new projects going into the plan areas. Think about the Bellevue TIF for IDB. It's a retail center, so personal property taxes are also going in up there. All those personal property taxes go back to the increment because it was zero when the project was set up. Does that help?
I think so. And so, where does the Bellevue personal property tax increment appear?
That would be under the tax increment IDB. So all of those funds would get lumped together for IDB. I guess, and Kelly could answer this better than I could about whether or not they could be separated out per project, but it's probably easier and it saves paper to leave it all in one.
And it's easier to identify as well. Gotcha.
You mentioned a reassessment. So when the tax increment financing is put in place, that base amount shifts
exist or not, MDHA would be able to answer that better than I can. But for the older ones, it was based on an assessed amount would be your base year, and it would change after reappraisals. But for newer style TIFs, once you execute that agreement, once you put that plan in place, whatever the base amount was for the year before the TIF went into place, that's your base number. So anything above that, regardless of whether there's a reappraisal or not, would be the increment. And sometimes, the property value could go down, and that's problematic for the project.
And so would it be right to assume for the IDB, the total increase in property values is 1.7 million? Above the previous, that is the increment that is going to the debt service for the TIF loan?
Yes, that would be the increment that's available for those projects that would go back to the IDB. And so this would be I'm assuming the 1.7 is for the Bellevue project. I don't know if the Madison one has been included yet. So yeah. And then there's the other one.
So what's the consequence if the property value decreases below the base amount?
The lender takes the risk on that.
The lender takes the risk? Okay.
And I think, we have a report that I think Joe Kane showed us at once that had one property that shows a negative value as opposed to a positive, and that's what that looks like.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
It's not solely if it declines, it's also if it doesn't increase enough, right? Because you've locked in a payment schedule for bondholders and what's going to expected. So while it can still grow, it may not grow enough to accommodate the requirement.
Does that show up anywhere? When we get the schedule from MDHA that shows what their payments are?
Well, I was referring to the IDB project.
Okay.
Isn't it
the one?
Isn't it my understanding? This is probably very shallow. Is that the developer is typically guaranteeing the payments on the loan behind the MDHA. So if there is a shortfall in increment, I thought my impression was that the owner of the property was on the hook to the bank to making them whole. I don't know if that's maybe not accurate. That's what I'm sensing.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
But you can't bleed a stone, right? Like if they don't have it, they don't have it. So they could file bankruptcy and
and then the lender would eat it.
Lender, whomever.
Yeah. It's not.
It doesn't come back to me.
It doesn't hurt the city if the property taxes
But
go
I
up.
will
I think
say
it's the key
the pool of people that buy debt is only this big. So the people that buy Metro debt are the same people that are going to buy these IDB bonds. So if you make them question your willingness to repay, it could be problematic on when we go to borrow money.
just sort of reputationally.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
It's important to do that. In general, it seems to have worked out well, though. So, knock on wood. Those interest rates. So where we are at this point, I think, is two things. There is legislation coming through from the council that is, I think, a little bit of an example of some of the things we want to be thinking about. This specifically is amending the development plans for each of the redevelopment districts. And I asked Rosie just to give you a sampling of that because it went on forever, but I think she actually gave you every single one of them. So what this does is several things. As Kelly mentioned, we initially, when we first had the TIFs, the entire amount came back through Metro, and there was concern that we were pulling from other important things like funding schools and stuff like that. So we have since adjusted that amount to 75% of the of the amount of the increased value can be used to pay off the loan, but the other 25% increase in value is supposed to come back to us to go to things like paying for schools and things like that. So that this document spells out that 75% and then also requires a 7-year review for each project. And I think this is what's relevant to us. So anytime any of these areas are given projects, every 7 years they have to go back and say, is this still accomplishing the goal that we thought was important? And are the things that we said we valued still things that are important to us to now? And
So if they're not, what's the consequence? What happens if
I think then we just as new things, opportunities come up, we go, we really don't need to be offering economic incentives for job creation, or to bring some company here because everybody says we got enough. What's more important today is affordable housing. So what that would do. What that has set this up is then that list would change for each one. And I found on the MDHA website, I thought it was spelled out in the bill, which you have a copy of, but it is not. But on the MDHA website for each of the redevelopment districts, and y'all have seen this map that Joe Kane brought to us a while back that nicely color-coded shows for each of those. On the MDHA website, there is a document that shows redevelopment priorities by district. And so it specifically says for the Arts Center, affordable housing, transit, historic preservation, infrastructure, and greenways and pedestrian ways are important. But in the Bordeaux one, that it adds grocery stores to that. And I'm excited to see grocery stores are in there. I didn't know we had already spelled that out somewhere anyway. And for the Capitol Mall, which is the top area, they also add to that local and small retail and small business assistance. So there's a great model there for what we might want to be recommending for the other tools that are out there, like the mixed income pilot clearly is focused on affordable housing more than anything else. But do we want to say to the IDB, and while you're at it, maybe you could also do these for if it's the Health and Ed Board who is doing the mixed income pilot. Part of being healthy is having, food deserts, and childcare. I think that's that fits under education as well. So, I think we have the wherewithal to add that information as well. So, those are all the thoughts I have on this. So I'm going to throw it open to sort of brainstorming on how we get from what we are beginning to know. I'd like to maybe get some help from some of the professionals over there on putting some of this information into some tables. Councilmember Mendez had created a really good one that showed of the different types of tax abatements that we've talked about, how many we had in 2016, how many had in 2021, how many he thought we were going to have in 2026, showing a trend of this going from 1% of the budget to 2% of the budget. And actually, our overall budget has grown faster than his predictions, so we can update that some. I would also like some help going backwards to like 2005 when some of these first ones, or at least when we had a number of them, and see, has it always just been 1%, or back then when our budget was much lower but we actually had more TIFs, was it 2% of the budget back then? So kind of what is the historic trend been? I think that would be useful data to have. So if I can ask somebody to help me do that back there, that's something I would like to send out to this bunch. And
could we volunteer Joe Kane since he's not here?
Sure.
And I'm pretty sure he has all the TIF numbers, so maybe if I could send him the budget number,
yeah,
historical, and he can just put it in whatever format he already has.
Okay, I'm gonna do that. Joe Kane, help with that. Okay. And Kelly. Okay, great. So I think having that in front of us would be helpful. And again, and that also sort of gives us the list of what the different types are. And if if y'all have had a chance recently to look at the study that was done in 2019 at the end of the TIF thing, it was about an 11 or 12 page document. It's not massive, but it begins with kind of an explanation of what this is, what the history is, and what the decisions are, and then from there it goes to here's what we're going to do.
And that document's in our SharePoint.
It's in the SharePoint, yeah. And so, in good, League of Cities, we can always learn from what's happened before us. I am perfectly happy to use that as our jumping off point and go from there to, and here are these other tools that have since come to light. Here's some other things we wish we could use, and here's a system we think we might use for making decisions. So 2 questions, thoughts on other decision criteria, and then thoughts on if we could possibly divvy up those sections and sort of begin to try to formulate our thoughts on what we know so far, what we still need to know, and what we're beginning to think about in terms of what we might be recommending.
Can I ask a general question to our 2 council people as part of the committee? Do you like the idea of having these long-term investments done, at a certain point in time and sort of lasting for a long period of time? Does that, you're in the, going budgeting, as this happening right now, is that, I could see that being a really positive sort of strategic thing to have. Okay, we're going to start working on these affordable housing and make a pledge of future revenues, and that's a really nice thing. Also, I remember back many years ago when Chris Farrell was a council person, talking to him about having a dedicated fund for this housing trust fund we wanted to start off back in the mid-2000s. Seems like I don't know how I feel about dedicated sources of revenue for a particular thing, because it ties the legislative body's hands. So that's sort of the 2 sides of the coins, and I would love you're the ones doing the work with the support of a lot of people, but the decision makers. How do you feel about, we already know we've already dedicated this money to infrastructure, to economic development, to affordable housing. That can be this is great. We'll focus on these other things. We know these are long-term issues that take long-term solutions. But I'd love to hear both of y'all's thoughts about that.
I think talk too much.
So technically, the council, well, not technically, we appropriate money in the budget every year. So even though you say something is a dedicated funding source, we can't bind a future council to spend money a particular way. So each council has to recommit essentially every year to funding a particular project a certain way. I think that when you do things long term, for one, it creates stability, and then you usually get better results. You're not going to get a lot of buy-in for short-term incentives that last like a year or 2. Like, why are you going to invest in that? Where you can, maximize your profit somewhere else if you're a developer or a corporation. So I think that, some folks will look at them and say, why is this council binding us for the next 20, 30 years? But it's really the more stable way to approach investments, and you get the most, I think, benefit.
I would agree with that.
Because I think, so it's like the HIT program versus the mixed income pilot might be a nice contrasting example, which have the same policy goals as far as I understand it, but it's very hard to deploy the HIT program.
It's year to year.
It's year to year, and so that just sort of helps in terms of what we're trying to do and how to evaluate things.
So. I think we learned from the Dell incentive that 40 years is probably too long.
That's a bit much.
But 10 to 15 with an option to renew, I think is long enough for developers to bank on, and that's important. And also for the real estate world to sort of know what things are doing. And so And, as Councilmember Toombs says, the next council can undo a whole lot of anything we do, so it's important to do it well, and then keep an eye on it. Try to remind them why we did it. But for example, right now the short term, there's $1, 1% of the short-term rental tax, hotel tax collection that is dedicated to the Barnes Fund. And y'all can tell me, at this point, aren't we obligated by that to ensure that amount at least shows up in the Barnes Fund, that there's a transfer that's required to happen?
It comes in as revenues come in. We get the 6% hotel and it goes 100 different ways. But yeah, that one goes.
So, it would take a council ordinance to undo that at this point. It's not like we can just decide not to allocate that money to the Barnes Fund this year, right? So in some sense, we can set some things.
I might be telling a lie, but I want to say in the state, and lawyers kick me, and the statute that defines that 1%, it doesn't say Barnes Fund implicitly, but I think it says, 1% goes to NCVC.
It's so 1% of the hotel tax goes into the general fund. Of that 1% that's derived from short-term rentals, we as council decided that we would use that for Barnes Fund. So if in any given year, because your budget ordinance has the same power as the Metro Code, you could say, we're not spending that on Barnes Fund this year, and that would be fine. But the council at one point decided, it's going to be our policy that this 1% goes towards Barnes, and we've been following that.
So unless we deliberately undo
So is that in this budget? Where do we see that 1%?
If you don't see it spelled out, but there's a transfer in there that's spelled out that shows up, and I found it, and given enough time I can probably find it again.
Okay.
But there's a line in here that, or just in the budget book, that just sets that amount equal to the 1%.
I guess my only caution, you didn't ask me my opinion.
I'd love to hear it though.
But when you think of like the 4%, right? We have 4% that's supposed to go to equipment purchases every year, and that's what it says, right? That's in the charter. And I think it gave everyone a whole bunch of comfort probably back when it came out, but it's not enough. And everyone's just like, oh, it's 4. Well, we always fund it more, but it's always the first thing people come for, and it just kind of the opposite of that guy. It's concerned that priorities might change, is more like the need changes, and I think people use it as an excuse to not prioritize things sometimes.
Yeah. No, I worry about that, the short-term rental and the Barnes Fund, because that's nowhere near what we need in the Barnes Fund. So I get worried and be like, oh no, it's taken care of, guys.
It is not.
So
it sets a floor, and then also we have there was also an ordinance that said whatever amount of financial incentive we offer per year, the Barnes Fund has to be at least that much. And I'm not sure who puts it on that, but that's a different animal.
With the increment, so I just want to make sure this is with tax increment financing, you don't know. That's not a revenue source until it's improved, right? So you haven't really realized that versus like setting aside where you have a sales tax and then you say, am I thinking about that right? So to say you're dedicating that revenue, it doesn't exist today. But I know that there's the revenue thing with the budget that I'm not.
There's a calculation that MDHA goes through on every single project, and they make projections and say, here's what it's appraised for or assessed at today, and here's what we think is going to happen, and here's the schedule that we're going to set out for the next 10 years. And my understanding is that's the schedule that is followed.
Oh, I see. So
if development happens, right? So yeah.
But I think you're sorry, go ahead.
No, I guess, but that's just for MDHA. IDB isn't doing the same thing, right? So you don't really, I guess I'm just saying it's not clear that you actually have revenue you're accounting for and taking
no
away.
Increase until there's something built
To there, right? So then it's like you're actually still getting revenue, but also incentivizing things you want. And I think the point you made at our first meeting, because I was like, what do we do? Is that it's just so confusing. And so I thought that was also one of the goals, is just to try to outline all
Make
this
it less
stuff. Make it less confusing, because because people think you are allocating if it goes 1 to 2 it didn't actually exist fully before. It might be projected.
It's about money.
Yeah, so that's confusing.
Yeah.
I don't know. So to outline in the report or something, or recommendations of how this can be streamlined, or at least the information can be gathered from the general public in one spot, or I don't know what the recommendation would be.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. And that would be, and I will say, I think the people that access this have been through it enough times that they can recite it better than we can, which we should be able to at this point. But I would entertain volunteering for, or I have written down on the agenda, assignments for writing sections, but I will entertain volunteering for, I mean, if we can just make a first pass of describing what's there, I am happy to work on the tables and the data.
In terms of, so I guess now.
Like what's available?
What are the tools that are available?
Okay.
And we know that's the MDHA TIF, which has been explained in depth in the previous report. But now we also have the MDHA pilot for LIHTC. Not really this one. And then the Health and Ed Board.
And the IDB.
And the IDB.
Are we pinpointing like anything, or is this just like this is what we have? The recommendations that kind of come later.
This is what exists.
Outline.
That's step one. This is what exists and what it's currently, what it has historically been used for.
Okay.
And then I think the next piece is here are new priorities that have arisen that are becoming more important, more important. And that affordable housing is the obvious one. But the fact that the redevelopment districts also bring out grocery stores and small business. Nobody brings out childcare, and to me that's one that has risen to the top. I think.
And sorry, just so I'm clear, so if we're making recommendations for if it's affordable housing or whatever, is that fall into a geographic zone, or is that all of Nashville?
That's a great question.
Like, is this an MDHA? Like, is it going to be a blanket redevelopment? I don't know. How does that?
No, I mean, I think, for the redevelopment districts, to some degree, they've got their format already. So part of what we're doing is these new tools have become created. Right now, all we're using them for is affordable housing. Are there other priorities? That, and part of this, I'm sorry, LaTanya's not able to be here, is as the Industrial Development Board. She is eager to have some guidance to give them on these are criteria to consider. If this project meets set criteria, you should award it, and just because you don't like this developer is not a good reason, to not award that, So, I mean, and I don't think it's up to us to set those fast, but I think to provide some guidelines to them, or at least to give her the backing she needs to say, we need a little more structure in the process that we use, and I think that we can provide the structure both for that one and for the Health and Ed Board as well, because that one's been that. And then the final piece is to suggest a mechanism similar to what this bill is doing for the NDHA. Every 7 years, these need to be reviewed and reevaluated, or is it every 5 years, so that we kind of just barely catch every council term.
So we would be making the recommendation that this is a vehicle that goes through, like, which agency, duration, what?
The transparency part.
Yeah, I think just to provide the same type of structure that has been put in place for the TIF.
That future tax incentive programs should have similar periodic check-ins. Is there a check-in or a sunset on the mixed income pilot?
We have created it.
Annual reporting.
And we have set, an annual cap of the.
Yeah. But not necessarily this is going to be around for 4 years or.
No, because you can't offer someone a 15-year one if it's going to disappear in.
It just needs to be, so the enabling legislation for the mixed income pilot gave the Health and Ed Board the tool, the ability to enter into a pilot with developers forever?
For 15 years.
No, not in terms of the agreement for each individual developer is for 15 years.
Right, correct.
But how is there a sunset on the Health and Ed Board's ability to enter into a new 15-year? It's a 2026.
I would need to check the legislation, but I think the answer is no. Okay. I don't think there is a sunset provision in there.
So that's a worthy question.
Yeah. So similarly, maybe not even a check-in once, but maybe there should be a reporting back in 7 years or whatever,
Yeah.
If that's...
Right. I mean, there is an annual report requirement, that the council will see what's going on, but in terms of
So maybe that's enough.
5 to 7 year review by the board and the council together, I think is something that this is set up. Because before, in 2019, we passed a bill that was similar to this. Each redevelopment district, had an expiration of 30 years down the road or whatever. And a lot can change in 30 years. Mm-hmm. So I think that, and currently what we've set up with fixed income pilot does not spell out an endpoint at all.
Yeah, but in a sense, if there's annual reviews, maybe we don't necessarily want to recommend work for the sake of work if that's something that's already going to happen.
Right.
On the course.
Right.
Just knowing that you all have a lot of things to deal with.
Well, I will say the council is really good at saying we want an annual report on this, and I have at least discovered now where all the annual reports are collected in one place so that I can go back and go, oh yeah, I asked for that. I owe them to study that.
So maybe the recommendation is no, not an annual report.
No. I think that's important, and there's always someone who cares about each one who looks at it. And it is, I am thrilled that I'm not sure who I get to thank, but Margaret and her team, now collected it all under council resources, which is fantastic. And maybe it was always under something, but now I know where to look for it, which I think is great. Because in the heat of the moment, whatever's being done is the most important thing, and we want to know every detail, and so we ask for every detail, and then something else comes up. But usually there's one person that cares a whole lot about it. So what I would like to suggest now, okay, 2 questions. We are scheduled to meet in July.
It's probably not going to work that week.
Huh?
That Wednesday is probably not. July 5th is probably not going to work.
That would be terrible. We could move it to the following Wednesday, perhaps. It's summer. We're moving in summer. And the other question is, technically the legislation that did this has given us a little bit of a deadline, and also we need to make sure we're still elected, which we're not, we're not taking anything for granted here. Do we need to meet twice in June? Do we want to meet twice in July? Any tentative?
What's our deadline in the legislation?
6 months.
It was 6 months.
And when did it pass?
Well, it took us a little while to get
Is
organized.
it 6 months from when it passed or 6 months from when we had our first meeting?
Let's look. I will tell you. All right, we created it.
It was October 2022.
Abatement, okay. On May 5th. All right, for its purposes, within 6 months of its appointment, unless such time to be extended by resolution of the Metro Council. We have it out if we need it. The committee shall submit to council its complete report and recommendations. So 6 months of the appointment, we had to make some changes to be able to do both of us.
Yeah, I would have to go back and look and see what the dates were for the appointments. I just don't.
But probably it was February.
I think it was February.
So that would take us to August.
So yeah, we have till August. So,
But the second meeting in August is the last meeting of the term.
Yeah.
So we need to have something turned in.
for that. resolution? I mean, it's
Is
actually
it just
something
submitting
we
it so
submit.
they can read it?
I think it could just be sent out and submitted to the council. I don't know that it needs to come back through with legislation.
As legislation.
Because if it is legislation, then it has to be I think it's the 9th of August is our last, is it the 9th? Is our last filing deadline. I think our last meeting is the 15th, so
Okay.
the week before.
Gotcha. So maybe we split the difference and meet in 3 weeks, and then that would shove us. That would move us beyond the July 4 Wednesday. Is that a possibility?
So last week in June.
Yeah. What does that look like? That would be
28.
28.
I can do that.
I could if we scooted it up, maybe.
The 28th is that, I mean, y'all do what you want to do, but
That's our Safe Schools meeting.
yeah, it's the school safety and gun violence meeting.
What time does that start?
It starts at 4:30, I think. 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock?
4, that's what I have written down. Yeah.
And it is here, so it looks like it goes to 5:30.
Right.
Is that the type of meeting that will end at 5:30?
Not certain.
Necessarily.
Not certain. So, I mean, we did tentatively have the 21st down as a possible meeting. Can we just run with that one and get who we get? And if you're on vacation,
That one is, so if you will recall, and I'm not trying to say that you can't have your meetings, I'm just telling you what some conflicts are, but the 14th, the 21st, and the
there were 3 in a row?
28th is that series of school safety and gun violence meetings. The one on the 21st is going to be held out at Hillsborough High School.
oh, okay.
So if you were going to choose one of those dates, the 28th may be the best because the meeting is in the Scobie chamber and ends at 5:30.
Okay, back to the 28th. I guess.
Would meeting at 3 be better? Actually, I've got a conflict then, but I could maybe move it around.
It's better for me.
I could do that.
Can you get 3 o'clock on the 28th?
Oh, actually, no, I can't. Do it without me.
No, I don't think that's possible.
Or you and I could watch the Safe Schools thing on video. I don't know. Are you going to try to go to all 3 of those? They aren't
I was going
recorded.
to try to, yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, I don't want to mess that up. Okay.
Or we could do 6 on the 28th.
Yeah, let me see. Yeah, that
My book club one starts at 8, so that should be
okay. Let's do that. 6. Yeah.
The 28th, right?
6 on the 28th.
Okay.
I'll bring pizza. Does that help?
great.
Okay, so we're moving it to the 28th, and I haven't heard volunteers, but I saw people writing down various things.
I can look at the last piece.
Okay, that'd be great. So let me write that down. So Councilmember Toombs, the sort of where we go from here piece? Great.
I mean, I could look at a portion of the what are we doing it historically, but I'm gonna need to know.
I was just
I mean, I can recruit like.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, could we get I'm sure some of this stuff's already been written somewhere,
Yeah.
that we can put it together, our friends with the Health and Ed Board and MDHA and IDB might be able to give us.
So Josh and I were just back here talking, trying to divvy up some of this charting responsibility, and if we can get MDHA, Joe Kane, to do the LIHTC TIF charting, then I think between Josh and I, we can do the mixed income pilot, the ECD pilots, and the job grants.
And the job grants, I don't think, they're interesting, but they're really not
So you don't
what we're
want
talking
to-
about.
Okay.
I keep pulling them out just because they're the one thing that shows up, but
Well, that is an annual appropriation that we're making, that we are entering into an agreement to make for
a long time.
some number of years. And I was going to say the small business jobs grants, that's something that finance would have to help us with, because we don't have it.
Let's say it's relevant information. If it's something y'all can gather,
Okay.
then I think we may
Yeah.
decide whether that's under our wheelhouse.
Maybe just like a separate category of those things that are
similar in
Yeah.
function.
I mean, in terms of corporate welfare and people getting mad about us giving money stuff, they don't distinguish between the two. But I mean, I think
So we can take that chart that I think is in the SharePoint right now showing the pilots, and we can project that out further because some of those pilots don't end at the end of that chart.
okay.
It's out there right now. We'll get that to you.
And would it be too hard to go backwards? I mean, I don't know that we need it for every single year, but I would be interested to see 2011. I mean, Councilmember Mendez had 2016, 2021, and 2026, and I would love to go backwards to.
Was that on the pilot?
No, it was I'll show you. It was
on
just
the TIFs, right?
It was a chart that he did, the TIF, the pilot, and oh, here it is. It looks like this. I think he handed it out to the council. Does that ring a bell?
No,
I'll show it to you.
okay, yeah.
But it shows
Happy
the
to look
TIFs,
at it
the
and see if we can
pilots,
do that.
and historical property tax abatement, which we haven't actually implemented yet, but that's another one that's coming. And the transitory redevelopment districts is another. I mean, for now, those are just zeros, but we're going to look into the future. What do those look like? Because part of the table that he did beginning in 2016 goes from those tax abatements that don't show up anywhere being 1.2% of the budget, and then 1.5, and then he projected them to be 2.6 by the time we get to 2016. And his whole point was, we need to think about this, and I think that's probably true. But I would be interested to know, because our TIF amounts have been higher in the past, and our budget has been lower. So have we been there before? Is kind of.
That's good.
So I don't know that we need every year, but if we could at least get back to 2011 and 2006, that would be kind of an every 5-year look. Okay, so I've got y'all doing what we've done, and look at the TIF study, and I mean, it's just kind of a good, if we can sort of do the same explanation for the pilots,
Yeah.
and get Joe Kane to help you if you need to. He's great.
See him tomorrow.
That'd be great, and then you're going to think about where we go, and I think that means I'll do the middle section. And Angel does that. You and me? And I think LaTanya's got some thoughts, specifically coming out of her role in the IDB, that will inform that as well.
What are we assigning the people?
And Charles Robert Bowden said he
I was like, since
well, I
he's
think-
not here.
since he was on the TIF
He's on
committee.
the original committee.
Yeah.
He can help edit.
Yeah,
All right,
exactly.
All right, the three of y'all are the where we've been.
Okay.
Where we're going, and you and I are the middle piece, which I'm going to figure out how to articulate.
Is that the priorities? Is that
I think
number
that's
2?
what it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And so let me just make sure. So who's addressing the transparency? Well, my suggestions were a database or a single place where the projects are awarded and they can be found for all the projects. So it's very transparent and who were awarded those projects and what funding is available. We just have a place that we could go and send people to. That's the transparency.
Gotcha. So why don't we do priorities and transparency?
Okay.
In that section. All right, everybody. We got our jobs, and I would say let's just start in individual Word documents, and we'll pull it into a Google Doc at some point that we can all or share or something like that. Does that sound like a plan? Okay. Does this feel like we are honing in on what we want to be honing in on? Okay, well, I am grateful for all the thoughts that have gone into this and for the support from the team back there and for help with the database. So we are set to meet on March 28th at 6 p.m. here.
I'm glad I'm not the only one who missed that.
It's not even the same letter. Usually it's August, maybe June 28th. Yes.
I think for the first time in this process, just sort of articulates how slow I am. I feel like I finally had a realization about along the lines of where our recommendation should go, and we should use sort of building on the conversation we had. These tax incentives and abatements should be used in times where we're dealing something with that takes a long time to happen, and the granting of it on early on leverages an impact much higher than it would be as an annual revenue giveaway, as an annual revenue usage. So
So, I mean, and these are all real estate projects we're talking about in general. And that's something where, you know, you can get a lot more money from a bank by having your tax reduced or using through a pilot or using a TIF. So we're able to use leverage Metro's resources a lot further, and so you get more bang for the buck, and it also allows things to happen that otherwise wouldn't, in terms of thinking through what types of things should be sort of maybe fit the sort of box of annual appropriations. We should be funding this at this level in 2023, 2024, whatever, and other things where actually if we make this set aside today, we'll see an outsized reward on things that are really important to the city, whether it's grocery stores, childcare, housing, you know, infrastructure things that unlock, you know, other opportunities.
Right. And I know, I mean, we're talking about divvying up just in terms of the content on the mechanism, like we talked about. So that would be generally under the TIF, and because priorities change, so one of the recommendations could be that when you reassess it every 5 to 7 years, that's when the priorities will be re-looked at and shifted around potentially to meet the demands of the community. And then did we talk about, I mean, in the geographic zone, like is it something that we want to prioritize certain areas for certain ones, like that we identify as a need, or do we want to look at this as a blanket? I mean, if we're going to or make a recommendation for the percentage, you know, I'm not saying we should either way, but then it's, do we open it up to the entire county, or do we prioritize?
Since the purpose is looking at how to incentivize affordable housing, I think that because that means different things to different people, there's a segment, particularly in minority communities, that feel like affordable housing equals low-income housing and that it all gets concentrated in their neighborhoods. So I think that it's best to look at it as how can we implement this citywide. Even though there are certain groups that may need it more than others, I think, you know, rather than saying this part of town is where we'll try to have, you know, concentrate this, just look at it from a citywide perspective.
Or maybe to be explicit about equitable distribution or something.
And one thing, and I guess I was more thinking just for thought, because obviously the simpler it is, probably the better, right, in some ways, but, you know, for affordable housing, as you get into the core, it gets more expensive, and that's where we need units, right, versus on the fringe as much. And so from a geographic standpoint, is there some thought around that?
And that can be done either talking about the, you know, I mean, we've got different buzzwords for, you know, the urban core or the old city boundaries, which is escaping me right now. But I mean, there are, or along corridors and centers. I mean, there are tools that the planning department is comfortable using, as opposed to saying, this part of town, but this, you know, this specific category.
Actually, if you start thinking about the transit centers, then it's going to expand outside of the core. So it should be blanketed. Because truthfully, you can build more affordable outside of the core than you can in the core.
And right, but that has implications, so that's you got to look at it both ways.
I mean, the other thing, and not that there's plenty of infrastructure improvements to be made, and any project that you come through, but you know, you can only use that money for non-vertical, right? So it would be interesting.
Often for TIF projects, it's all about infrastructure. But for the mixed income pilot, it's about building the.
But that's if we use TIF, though, it's horizontal, and so if you are on the main corridor, you would assume you don't have a ton of. Actually, I don't want to assume that, because every project I'm working on, there's a lot of stormwater or whatnot. I mean, we know that we have infrastructure. So, anyways, just food for thought as we look at that, and because that's what they're using the funds for.
Gotcha. So I would suggest, okay, so we've got 3 weeks. It would be. I don't know about y'all, but you know, I usually put out the hottest fire. So you know, perhaps if we target a 2-week check-in or something, you know, just so that we can kind of see where we're going, and maybe you know have some feedback from the other players on what each group is doing, that would be good too.
Okay.
Okay, that sounds great. All right, I think we got a plan. Other questions, thoughts, or?
So our check-in would be how? How would I check in?
I think we'll just do it. Can we do it? Council Connect? Can they access Council Connect?
To read, but not to use.
So, Councilmember Toombs and I, because this may ultimately result in legislation, we can't discuss things outside of publicly noticed meetings like this. We have a tool called Council Connect, where we can put things out there and we can talk back and forth, and y'all can see what we say to each other, and y'all can do whatever you want to amongst yourselves. So perhaps between those two mechanisms,
Yeah, so we can't email drafts of things.
we can't do a group email, but just between us. Councilmember Toombs and I can put things on Council Connect, and she and I can talk back and forth, and y'all can see what we say, and then y'all can do whatever you want to, any way you want to, right? Or, all right, that's why y'all are here. Tell us what our options are.
You're a body that's going to be advising a governmental body, so really, that's why we have public meetings.
Gotcha.
So if you want to do a check-in, really what you need to do is just plan to have a meeting on a certain date. And so,
Just fought for that date, okay.
yeah, exactly. So I don't know if the check-in will work. If everybody wants to submit the written documents that you're working on, we can distribute those to everybody so that you can at least, read them. We can put them on the SharePoint or something along those lines. But you can't, you're not supposed to be in communication outside of an open meeting.
I think submitting whatever draft we have to Margaret would be best.
Let's do that.
2 weeks from today.
We can just distribute it to the board to prepare, so you can study it for the next meeting, which would be on the 28th.
Okay, I think that's helpful. Then we'll plan on discussing it after that. Good. All right, we got a plan. Thank you, everyone, for continuing to show up. It's summer. But I think we've learned a lot, and we're getting there, and clearly what we have is needed because things are happening, so that's great. All right, I will try to make my notes become minutes and get those out to Margaret. Let's see. All right, and quick sleep, here we go. Okay. And thank y'all, support team.
Turn off the light.
We are adjourned.
We have this tab in there. Oh, wait.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.